Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadādhara, Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are continuing our reading of Śrī Caitanya Bhāgavata by Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur. All the translations and purports are by His Divine Grace, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswāmī Maharaj Prabhupada, who is the revered spiritual master of our beloved founder Acharya. His Divine Grace, Srimad Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from the Adi Khanda of Śrī Caitanya Bhāgavata, chapter 10, text 36 to 45. If possible, someone wants to share the screen, that will be nice. I'm not able to share because unfortunately I had to join from my phone. Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur is describing the activities of Sri Nimai, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Gaura Sundar in Mayapur as a student. Text 36. ठाकुरे सेवक है ना मते करी रंगे गंगा स्नाने चली लेना लैया सब संगे. After this pleasing exchange between Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Murari Gupta, his dear servant, our beloved Lord Shri Nimai and his friends went to take bath in the Ganga. Ganga snane chali lena laya saba sange. Thakure sevake hena mate kari range. After enjoying this pastime with Murari Gupta, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu along with his friends, he went to take bath in the Ganga. Ganga snana kariya chalila prabhu ghare ei mata vidyarase ishwara vihare. After finishing his Ganga snan, his bath in the holy river Ganga, Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu went home. Chalila prabhu ghare, he went home. Thus the Supreme Lord enjoyed the life of a student. Ei mata vidyarase ishwara vihare. In this way he did his Vidyarasa pastimes, his pastimes of a student. Such are the wonderful leelas of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Ananda leela maya vigrahaya hemabha divya chavi sundaraya tasmai mahaprema rasa pradaya Caitanya Chandraya namo namaste. Text 38. Mukunda Sanjaya Bada Mahabhagyavan Jahara Alaye Vidya Vilase Rasthan. Aha. Mukunda Sanjaya Bada Mahabhagyavan. Why? Jahara Alaye Vidya Vilase Rasthan. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu Vidyalaya. He opened his Vidyalaya. He opened his school in the Alaya, in the house of Mukunda Sanjaya. Therefore, Mukunda Sanjaya is most fortunate because Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu chose the house of Mukunda Sanjaya to have his school in. Commentary by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Mukunda Sanjaya was a resident of Shri Navadvip and the father of Purushottam Sanjaya. In the vast Chandi Mandap of his house, Shri Nimai Pandit taught grammar, Sanskrit, Vyakaran, and similar subjects to Purushottam Sanjaya, the son of Mukunda Sanjaya, and also various other students. In this regard, one may see Adi Khanda chapter 12, verses 70 to 91, chapter 15, verses 5 to 7, 32 to 33, and 70 to 71, and Madhya Khanda chapter 1, verses 127 to 130. Text 39. Tahana putre re prabhu apane padhaye, tahara o tanara prati bhakti sarvathaye. Mukunda Sanjay's son, Purushottam Sanjay, became Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's student. He also had great devotion for the Lord. Bhakti sarvathaye. He had a lot of devotion for Shri Nimai. Text 40. Bada Chandi Mandapa Achayet Tana Ghare Chaturdike Vistara Paduya Tahi Dhare. There was a large Chandi Mandapa, Durga Mandap, in the front yard, in the courthouse, in the courtyard of the house of Mukunda Sanjay. And that hall had the capacity to hold many students. Commentary. The word Chandi Mandapa refers to a hall within the courtyard of a Hindu householder, wherein worship and recitation of prayers to Shri Chandi Devi or Shri Durga Devi is performed. It is also called Devi Griha, house of the goddess, or Thakura Dalana, the hall of the gods. This place is generally offered to guests for their sitting. So it was customary in those days in the well-to-do Hindu families, they would have a Durga Mandap in their front yard. It was like a hall where guests would stay, but principally it was used for the worship of Durga Devi, because Durga Puja is quite a popular festival in Gauda Desh, Bengal. Text 41. One point I would like to make here in regards to verse 39. Tahana putre re prabhu apane padhaye, tahara o tano prati bhakti sarvathaye. That Purushottam Sanjay was a student of Shri Nimai Vishwambhar, and he had great devotion for his teacher, Shri Nimai Vishwambhar. This is very important. Anyone who is giving us knowledge, especially spiritual, transcendental knowledge, we have to be ever grateful, and we should have devotion. We must have devotion. Goshti kari tahai padana dvijaraj, sei sthane gaurangera vidyara samaj. Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the king of the Brahmanas, Dvijaraj. Dvija means Brahmanas and Raj means king. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu is called the king of the Brahmanas. He is also Nyasi Kula Shiromani. He is the crest jewel, the best among the sannyasis. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu was an ideal brahmachari student. He was an ideal grihastha, and he was an ideal renunciant, sannyasi. Says Thane Gaurangera Vidyara Samaj. Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the king of the Brahmanas, used to divide his students in groups, Vidyara Samaj, in groups, and teach them in that hall, says Thane. In that Durga Mandap in the house of Sanjay, Mukunda, and Mukunda Sanjay and Purushottam Sanjay, in the front yard of their house in the Durga Mandap, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu had his school. He had many students, and he would divide them into different groups and walk around teaching them. Text 42. Kata rupe vyakhya kare kata vakhandan adhyapaka prati se akshepa sarvakshan. Shri Nimai would give various explanations and refutations as he continually derided the other teachers. This is a Leela of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This is to be relished, not to be imitated. Nimai, as a greatest scholar of his time, he took pleasure in defeating the puffed up, proud other scholars who were very puffed up. That was his plan, to humble all of them. And then Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's plan was, after proving himself to be the greatest scholar, and humbling everybody else, making everybody else surrender to him, then he was going to manifest himself as a devotee. That Nimai, who was the greatest scholar of Vyakaran, Nyaya, etc., has given all that up to simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then everybody would follow and become devotees. That was the grand plan of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Commentary. The word akshep found in the Alankar Shastra means chastisement, condemnation, to point out one's faults. So Nimai would point out the faults in the other proud teachers. Kata rupe vyakhya kare, kata va khandan. He would give different explanation, and he would also do khandan, refutation of adhyapaka prati, other teachers, and say akshepa sarvakshana. He would chastise them, deride them at every moment, to prove himself to be the greatest scholar. Text 43. Prabhu kahe sandhi karya jnana nahi yara kali yoge bhattacharya padavi tahara. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu would say, in this age of Kali, one who doesn't even know the rules of conjunction, sandhi karya, basic rules of Vyakaran, is given the title Bhattacharya. He would make fun of them by saying that they have got the titles Bhattacharya and so many other things, but they are not very intelligent. They don't even know basics, because Mahaprabhu would find faults in all their teachings. Commentary. Accepting the title Bhattacharya, Bhatta means a great scholar, an Acharya is a very good, very great teacher, a learned scholar, teacher of the Shruti, Nyaya and Mimamsa philosophy. They are called Bhattacharyas. But without going through the primary lessons of Sandhi, or how words are joined together, as found in children's grammar books, it is irrational. The basis of irreligiosity, and possible only in Kali Yuga. It's only possible in Kali Yuga that these people have taken on the title of Bhattacharya without even knowing basic Sandhi, basic rules of grammar. Mahaprabhu is condemning them. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam 12.3.38 as follows. Dharmam vakshant adharmanya adhirudhyot tamasanam. Those who know nothing about religion will mount a high seat and presume to speak on religious principle. Dharmam vakshanti adharmanya adhirudhyo tamasanam. Those who know nothing, they will get on a high seat and start speaking on religious principles, even though they know nothing about dharma. This is a symptom of Kali Yuga described in the Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto. And Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting that. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is quoting that to substantiate what Mahaprabhu is saying. Text 44. He na jana dekhi phaki balu ka amar tabe jani bhatta mishra padavi sabar. Let them refute my explanations, Mahaprabhu is saying. Let them refute my explanations. Then I will accept them as actual Bhattacharyas and Mishras. Last verse for today, verse 45. Ei mata vaikuntha nayaka vidyarase krida kare chinite na pare kona dase. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha Nayak, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, sportingly enjoyed his life as a scholar. Ei mata vaikuntha nayaka vidyarase krida kare. Yet none of his servants could recognize him. Chinite na pare kona dase. None of his servants could recognize him. Why? Because of Krishna's Yoga Maya potency. So that was the plan of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, that he would teach Vyakaran in such a way that everyone will be highly impressed and accept Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu as the greatest scholar. And then Mahaprabhu would take on the mood of a Vaishnava, a devotee. And in that way bring everyone to the path of Krishna consciousness. So that brings us to the end of today's reading of Śrī Caitanya Bhāgavata. Today is a very auspicious day, my dear friends. Jhulan Yatra is going on, as you all know. And today is the very, very auspicious Tirobhav Tithi, disappearance day of Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī, and also Śrī Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī is Rūpa Manjari, who is the leader of all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the most intimate associate of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī knows the heart of Mahaprabhu more than anyone else. Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī, Śrī Sanatana Goswāmī, Śrī Raghunath Das Goswāmī, they are most dear to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Most dear. Most dear. And they actually understand the heart of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Śrī Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Rūpa Goswāmī. He understood the heart of Mahaprabhu and established the mood and the mission of Mahaprabhu all over the world through his writings, through his disciples like Śrīla Jiva Goswāmī and their disciples like Narottam Shamananda, Srinivas, and their followers like Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and their followers like Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and our beloved founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad Paramhams Parivrajaka Acharya Shtottar Shata Shri Srimad Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada, and Śrīla Prabhupada's followers. Through all of them, Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī has established Gauravani. So it's very special. Today is the disappearance day of Śrīla Gaurīdās Paṇḍit, who is Subal Sakha, because of whom we get the darshan of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani on every Gopashtami. It was Subal Sakha who took the form, who took on the role of Srimati Radharani, so that Radharani could leave home and meet with Krishna in Gopavesh. That happened on Gopashtami, where Subal became Radharani and Radharani became Subal to be with Krishna. So that Subal Sakha, who is a Priya Narma Sakha of Shri Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. Priya Narma Sakhas assist in the Madhurya Leela. So Priya Narma Sakhas, Subal Sakha, Ujjwal Sakha also. So they help in the Madhurya Leela. Otherwise, the Sakhas are in Sakhyaras. They play with Krishna. They steal butter with Krishna. They do Gocharan Leela with Krishna. But the Priya Narma Sakhas like Ujjwal and Subal, they actually assist in the Madhurya Leela pastimes. Shridham Madhumangal also. So, Subal Sakha of Krishna Leela came as Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. And he was an intimate associate of Gaur Nitai. Gaur Nitai appeared to him in the form of deities because he had an intense desire to serve them, to worship them. Ajanulambita bhujau kanakavadhatau sankirtanai kapitarau kamalayatakshav vishwambharau dvijavarau yugadharma palau vande jagat priyakarau karunavatarau. Shri Gaur Nitai, who are the fathers, Sankirtanai Kapitarau, they are the fathers of this Prem Naam Sankirtan movement, this Harinam Sankirtan movement. Before Mahaprabhu took sannyas and before Nityananda Prabhu started widely traveling and preaching, they came to Ambika Kalna, where Gaurīdās Paṇḍit lived. Very simple devotee of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Śrī Nityananda Prabhu. Many times Gaurīdās Paṇḍit would go to Mayapur, to Yogapeeth, to Shrivas Angan, and participate in the Kirtan Leela of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Jayati Jayati Devo Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Jayati Jayati Kirti Stasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhritya Stasya Vishvesha Murte Jayati Jayati Nritya Tasya Sarva Priyanam Jayati Jayati Bhritya. All glories to all the devotees of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And Jayati Jayati Nritya. Jayati Jayati Bhritya and Jayati Jayati Nritya. All glories to the associates of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to the Gaura Priyajan. All glories to the Gaura Parshads. And all glories to the wonderful, sweet, graceful, all attractive dancing of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is writing this in the Mangala Charan. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit would travel to Mayapur to witness this wonderful Leela of Shri Shri Gaura Nitai. And every time he would invite Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, please come na. Please come to Ambika. Accept my invitation. Come, I want to cook for you. I want to serve both of you. Please come. He would always invite, and Mahaprabhu and Nityananda would say, yes, 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 we'll come. But for a long time, they did not go. For a long time, they did not go. Can someone chant Hare Krishna? Just 1 second, please.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit would invite Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, please come to Ambika, accept my invitation, I want to serve you, cook for you. And they would say, yes, we'll come. But they were so busy preaching, they were so busy having their Ashtakalya Leela in Mayapur that they never got the time to cross the Ganga and go to Ambika Kalna. So finally, Gaurīdās Paṇḍit said, now I will not go to Mayapur. Because Mahaprabhu is not accepting my invitation, Nityananda Prabhu is not accepting my, I will not go. I will just sit here and cry. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit was sitting and crying in Ambika. Crying because Gaur Nitai were not coming to his house to accept service from him. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu heard this, their hearts melted. They said, come, let's go. They both got into a boat, just two of them. They got into a boat and they went. They went to Ambika Kalna. They came to the house of Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. It's a very sweet, beautiful Leela. Loving exchange. Gaurīdās Paṇḍit had cooked such a nice feast for them. They accepted the feast. And then Gaurīdās Paṇḍit did not want them to leave. So he requested them, please stay with me, please stay with me. To satisfy the desires of their beloved devotee, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai manifested themselves as deities. And they stayed with Gaurīdās. It's a long pastime. I'm not getting into it because we have much ground to cover. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit got Gaur Nitai deities personally handmade by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. They were non-different. They were walking, talking deities, just like Gaur Nitai. So Mahaprabhu gave his oar that he used to cross the Ganga river, the oar of the boat, and said, please keep this oar as prasadi. And just like I crossed Ganga, anyone who comes and takes darshan of this oar, anyone who comes to your ashram, Gaurīdās Paṇḍit, they will also be able to cross the ocean of birth and death. They will cross beyond the Viraja river and go to the spiritual world. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu also, in his beautiful handwriting, wrote verses of Śrī Bhagavad Gita in his beautiful pearl-like handwriting and gave it to Gaurīdās Paṇḍit as a gift. I'm getting a lot of personal messages. Let me look at it. Is something wrong? Hare Krishna. So please refrain from writing personal messages when the katha is going on, because it is very distracting. You can ask questions at the end of the class, please. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit was staying in Ambika Kalna with his Gaur Nitai deities. And all his life, he served Gaur Nitai. All his life. His greatest pleasure was to cook for Gaur Nitai and play with them. They would play games. They would play tag, they would play hide and seek. Various games they would play. Gaur Nitai and Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. Because he's in Sakhya Bhav. And he would love to cook for them and feed them. Because the Sakhas, the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna and Balram, they every day in the forest, they have their picnic. They sit together and they eat. There's a beautiful BBT painting of Krishna Balram sitting surrounded by their Sakhas and Sakha. They eat together, Sakhas. So this is an eternal pastime of Sakhas eating together. And that is exactly what Gaurīdās Paṇḍit would do with his Gaur Nitai deities. He would cook for them. Please understand, in those days, there were no masala packets. There were no pre-cut vegetables, no refrigerator, no frozen vegetables. There was no LPG cylinder or a tubed gas for cooking. You just turn a knob and the fire comes on, and turn the knob and you can adjust the flame. Nothing of that sort. In those days, you had to hand make all the masala powders and everything. And to make a fire, you had to take dry wooden sticks and cow dung patties and light a fire. And if you want to adjust the flame, then you have to put more fuel to increase the flame. To decrease the flame, you have to sprinkle some water and reduce the intensity of the fire. That's how they would cook. Now we have like big 6 different gas on the oven and we just cook. It's so easy. Those days it was very difficult. And Gaurīdās Paṇḍit had no servants and no disciples. Alone he would cook every day. Many, many meals he would cook every day for his Gaur Nitai. And he would play, he would talk with them. Very wonderful life of service. He was happily living with his Gaur Nitai. He had such love for Gaur Nitai that Gaur Nitai knew that if we go, take sannyas, go to Jagannath Puri, etc., without being with Gaurīdās Paṇḍit, he will not be able to live in separation from us. Therefore, they stayed with him in the form of deities. That Gaurīdās Paṇḍit's disappearance day is today. This Gaurīdās Paṇḍit was such a great devotee. As time went on, he became old. But he continued with his dincharya. He continued with his daily routine of cooking for Gaur Nitai, of playing with Gaur Nitai, talking to them, singing for their pleasure. He continued his service to Gaur Nitai. But Gaur Nitai were not happy, because they were not happy seeing how much labor this Gaurīdās Paṇḍit was doing for them. He was cooking chappan bhog every day for them. So hard. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit's heart was that I want to give the best to Gaur Nitai. But Gaur Nitai were thinking, it's okay, you don't have to go through so much hard work and cook so much for us. Just take it easy. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit was one day cooking for his Gaur Nitai, and Gaur Nitai spoke to him and said, you know, you are quite old now. You have all this joint pain, you have low energy, your eyesight is not good. Many times when you cook for us, you get these burns because you don't have good coordination, your hands are trembling. It's very painful for us to see this. Therefore, just make something simple for us. Just give us some rice and we'll be happy. Don't have to make chappan bhog for us. But Gaurīdās Paṇḍit said, I will never reduce my service to you. Service to both of you is my life and soul. I will never reduce my service. Then Gaur Nitai said, they negotiated with Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. They said, well, if you don't want to reduce the standards of your service to us, then at least accept a disciple, at least accept a servant who will assist you. Gaurīdās Paṇḍit said, well, if that's what you want, then that's okay. I can do that. I can accept a servant. But I'm not going to go around recruiting a chela. If you want a servant, then you send a servant to me. It's up to you. So then Gaur Nitai, they smiled. They said, all right, we will do the needful. Few days later, as Gaurīdās Paṇḍit was serving his beloved Gaur Nitai deities, a young boy came. And he sat down in the corner, offered obeisances to Gaurīdās Paṇḍit and sat down in the corner. Gaurīdās Paṇḍit said, who are you? What do you want? He said, I am from a nearby village. I am very inspired by your devotional service to Gaur Nitai. I am very attracted to your Gaur Nitai. Please, can I be your servant? I want to assist you in your service to Gaur Nitai. And Gaurīdās Paṇḍit took it as an indication from his deities that they have sent this sevak, this das, this servant. So he accepted. He initiated that boy and gave him the name Caitanya Das. Caitanya Das. Again, beautiful pastime, but we just don't have time. If I speak the whole katha, it will go for 2-3 hours. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit, he engaged Caitanya Das in the service of Gaur Nitai. But as far as playing with Gaur Nitai was concerned, that Caitanya Das could not see initially. Only Gaurīdās could experience that, because it is not for someone who is not on the platform of pure devotional service. But by working and serving under his Gurudev, doing bhajan under his Gurudev, very soon Caitanya Das also attained that exalted spiritual status where he had Leela Pravesh, where he could see how his Gurudev, Gaurīdās Paṇḍit, was doing Leelas with Gaur Nitai. One day they were playing hide and seek. And Gaur Nitai told, Caitanya Das was sitting in a corner. It was the turn of Gaurīdās Paṇḍit to seek, to find Gaur Nitai. And it was the turn of Gaur Nitai to hide. Previously, Gaur Nitai would run out and they would hide somewhere in the forest groves, behind trees, on top of trees, under the Ganga water. So many places they would hide and Gaurīdās would go and find them. But now Gaurīdās had become old. So the rules of the game were that they had to hide somewhere in the house, within the ashram. They could not go outside the ashram. It was so sweet how they would play. So Gaurīdās Paṇḍit knew all the hiding spots of Gaur Nitai. So he would easily spot them. So today, Gaur Nitai decided that we will hide in a place where Gaurīdās Paṇḍit will not be able to find us. They went and hid in the heart. Both of them went and hid in the heart of Caitanya Das, who was just sitting in the corner and smiling and watching this beautiful Leela. And Gaurīdās Paṇḍit was searching everywhere, not able to find Gaur Nitai. And Gaur Nitai told Caitanya Das, don't reveal that we are hiding in your heart. So Caitanya Das was sitting, imagine Gaur Nitai in your heart, tears of love were flowing from his eyes. He was just sitting, chanting, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur. Gaurīdās Paṇḍit doesn't know, he's absorbed in the game. He's trying to find Gaur Nitai, and Gaur Nitai are nowhere to be seen. Minutes went by, hours went by. Caitanya Das is in Samadhi because Gaur Nitai have taken shelter in his heart. And Gaurīdās Paṇḍit also is in a different Samadhi. He is absorbed in trying to find where is Gaur Nitai, where is Gaur Nitai, where is Gaur Nitai. This Leela is going on. Finally, a couple hours go by. And Gaurīdās Paṇḍit is in extreme distress that he cannot find his Gaur Nitai. He feels as if his pran has left his body without Gaur Nitai. How will I live? Where are my Gaur Nitai? Where are my Gaur Nitai? He was going transcendently mad in separation from them. He was crying, Gaur Nitai, where are you? Okay, now game is over. Please don't hide anymore. I want to see you. I cannot live without you. It's time for you to eat. It's time for your meal. Please, you must be hungry now. Stop. Quit hiding now. It's enough. Come on. Show yourself to me. Finally, Chaitanya Das, seeing his Gurudev cry, he could not tolerate his Guru crying like this. So he requested Gaur Nitai, enough now, my Gurudev is crying. You told me not to tell Gurudev that you are hiding here, but I cannot see my Gurudev cry. I will transgress your order, and I will tell my Gurudev where you are hiding. But please come out now. Please show yourself to my Gurudev. I cannot see my Gurudev in distress. Gaur Nitai were very pleased with the devotion, the Guru Nishtha, the Guru Seva Bhav of Chaitanya Das. And they told Gaurīdās Paṇḍit, oh Gaurīdās, look, here we come. And Gaurīdās was looking, where is the sound coming from? It's coming from Chaitanya Das. And he saw from Chaitanya Das's heart, his Gaur Nitai manifested, came out. Seeing how Chaitanya Das was also involved in this play by Gaur Nitai, and how they had taken shelter in his heart. His name was Chaitanya Das. At that point, Gaurīdās Paṇḍit said, my dear Chaitanya Das, from today your name will be Hriday Chaitanya Das. There is another Gaur Purnima story also, when Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu took shelter in the heart of, they hid in the heart of Hriday Chaitanya. That story also is there. Both the stories are there. The different biographers of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu have told both these stories. So his name Chaitanya Das became Hriday Chaitanya. After Gaurīdās Paṇḍit entered the Nitya Leela, Hriday Chaitanya Das became the next Acharya. And he was taking care and serving Gaur Nitai with great love. He also had disciples. One disciple was a boy called Dukhi. He was called Dukhi because before him, several siblings were born and they all died soon after birth. So his parents thought, let us give him a sad name so that even Yamraj will have some pity on him and allow him to survive and live. So this young boy was called Dukhi. From his childhood, he was very much attracted to the pastimes of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu. Whenever traveling pilgrims came to his village, he was from the same village as Suryakant Sarkal, the father of Nityananda Prabhu's eternal consorts, Vasudha Devi and Jahnava Devi. Their father was from a particular village, Suryadas Sarkar, and this boy, Dukhi, he was also from the same village. But whenever devotees would come, traveling devotees, he would always ask, is there any Mahabhagavat who is living in Navadvip? Please tell me about the pure devotees who reside in Navadvip. Because he had great interest in hearing Bhakta Charitra, the activities of pure devotees. We must hear the activities of pure devotees. It is very purifying to the heart. So this young boy, Dukhi, would always ask traveling pilgrims, tell me about some nice devotee that you came across in your travels. Tell me something about Gaur Nitai. Tell me about some pastime places, like that. So once when he was hearing Gaur Katha, some traveling Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they told the story of Hriday Chaitanya, the story that we just heard. How this young disciple, Hriday Chaitanya Das, became Hriday Chaitanya Das. And how he was the Kripa Patra of Gaur Nitai and Kripa Patra of Śrī Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. Aha! As soon as Dukhi heard about Hriday Chaitanya Das, in his heart, in his Hriday, he accepted Hriday Chaitanya Das as his Gurudev. He said, aha, if I have to take initiation, I will take initiation from Hriday Chaitanya. Prabhu, what a life! What a life of service! What a life of purity! From his childhood, he is a servant of Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. Assisted Gaurīdās Paṇḍit so intimately in the service of Gaur Nitai. And Gaur Nitai have taken shelter in his heart. Aha, what more do you want? He is Sadguru. I want to take shelter of Sadguru. Śrī Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī. I want to surrender to him. When he was 8-9 years old, again some traveling pilgrims had come to his village and they were on their way to Ambika Kalna. As soon as Dukhi heard this, he requested permission from his parents. Please let me go with them. I want to take darshan of Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu. Parents gave permission. With the traveling pilgrims, he came to Ambika Kalna and surrendered his life at the lotus feet of Śrī Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī. Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī accepted him as a duly initiated disciple and gave him the name. Dukhi became Dukhi Krishnadas. He added Krishna to his name. Dukhi Krishnadas. Oh ho ho. What a service attitude he had, Dukhi Krishnadas. Tremendous service attitude. His service was to maintain a garden for Gaurnitai, where tulsi plants and flower plants were grown. So Ganga, many of you have been to Ambika Kalna, you have seen the ashram of Gaurīdās Paṇḍit. It is right on the bank of Ganga. His service was to go to Ganga, fill earthen pots with water, bring them to the garden. There was no hose and irrigation pipes in those days. So he had to fill water, put it on his head, bring it to the garden and individually garden the hundreds of plants and trees that were in the garden, in the Udyan of Gaurnitai, in the ashram. So hundreds of water pots he would carry every day. And he was akinchan. He was just a simple brahmachari, had no possessions. He didn't have any turban or a cloth to tie on his head. He would keep the earthen pot bare on his head. As a result, he got many ulcers on his scalp. But he was oblivious, totally unaware, completely absorbed in seva. One day, it is described that when the flies, they sit on the ulcers, they deposit some eggs of some maggots, those worms. And then those worms start breeding in the wound. So on his scalp, he had ulcers with worms inside, maggots. But he was so absorbed in seva, he could not notice anything. But Śrī Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī noticed. One day, as Dukhi Krishnadas was offering obeisances to his Gurudev noticed, oh, he has got ulcers on his scalp and there are worms, maggots in it. He said, my dear child, what is this? You have to take care of yourself. He said, what happened, Gurudev? I didn't even notice. Gurudev's heart melted. Oh, what is this? How much he is serving me, how much he is obedient, how much he is absorbed in Guru Pradatta Seva. Immediately, Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī called Dukhi Krishnadas and Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī ne Hriday se laga liya. He embraced him with so much love. My child, your parents have sent you to my ashram. You are my disciple. I am your father. I am your mother. I am everything. It is my responsibility to take care of you. Hey Gaurnitai, if I have ever served you nicely, please heal this boy. He has got ulcers with worms in them. In those days, there was no treatment for that. Please cure him. Please give him good health. Give him a long life. Bless him. Give him Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Mati Rastu. Like that, immediately blessings started pouring out from the heart from the Hriday of Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī. Aha. In one instant, the maggots were gone, the ulcers were gone, and his scalp became completely healed. Dukhi Krishnadas, completely healed. And by his embrace, heart-to-heart embrace, whatever Krishna Prem he had in his heart, it got injected into the heart of Dukhi Krishnadas. Haribo, Dukhi Krishnadas, with that one embrace, he became self-realized. Got Krishna Prem. Tears of love came in his eyes, his hair started standing on end side, trembling, his voice choked up. All the Ashtasattvic Vikar manifested. This is the power of the blessings of a pure devotee. Dukhi Krishnadas in an instant became self-realized, pure devotee. And by the mercy of his Gurudev, Vraj Bhakti manifested in his heart. And he developed an intense longing to go to Vraj. As his Gurudev, Hriday Caitanya understood his Hriday, understood what is in the Hriday of his disciple. He said, my dear Dukhi Krishnadas, you have served Gaurnitai, you have served me so nicely. I want to send you to Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education, VIHE. I want to send you to Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, the leader of all Gaudiya Vaishnavas is living. He is the Acharya of the entire Vishwa Gaudiya Vaishnava Raja Sabha. He is the leader of all Gaudiya Vaishnavas at this point of time. Hriday Chaitanya asked, Dukhi Krishnadas asked his Gurudev Shri Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī, who is this great personality? Shri Hriday Caitanya Goswāmī replied to Dukhi Krishnadas, my dear child, Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme personality of Godhead. Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna in one form. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shakti Rasmad Ekatmanav Abhibhuvi Pura Deha Bhedam Gatautau Chaitanyakyam Prakatamadhuna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhavaduti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Mahaprabhu, is Radha and Krishna in one form. But when Radha and Krishna from Goloka Vrindavan descend in this material world, Vrindavan Dham also descends with them. Vrindavan Dham also descends with them. Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, they came as Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, my dear Dukhi Krishnadas. Please listen carefully. Balramji came as Nityananda Prabhu. Ananga Manjari came as Janava Vasudha. Bhudevi appeared as Vishnu Priya Devi. Satyabhama appeared as Jagadananda Pandit. Lakshmi Devi herself appeared as Lakshmi Priya Devi. Radharani is in the heart of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha Bhava, Dyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. But externally to teach him, she came as Shri Gadādhara Pandit. Narad Muni, Parvat Muni came as Shrivas Thakur and Ramai Pandit. Mahavishnu and Sadashiv came as Shri Advaita Prabhu. Lalita Vishakha Sakhis came as Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai. Indradev came as Maharaj Pratap Rudra. Brihaspati came as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Also, my dear Dukhi Krishnadas, the most confidential maid servants of Srimati Radhika Rani, the Manjaris, they also came. Rūpa Goswāmī is Rūpa Manjari. Shri Sanatan Goswami is Lavanga Manjari. Shri Raghunath Das Goswami is Rati Manjari. In this way, the Ashtamanjaris came along with the Ashtasakhis. They were all Gaur Parshads. My dear Dukhi Krishnadas, the leader of all the Manjaris is Shri Rūpa Manjari. And Rūpa Manjari is Rūpa Goswāmī, who gave up his high position as Dabir Khas. Khas. He was the private secretary of Badshah Nawab Hussain Shah. He gave it up and took residence as a Babaji in Shri Vrindavan Dham on the order with the blessings of Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Along with Sanatan Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, they have established the purest teachings of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu through their books. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami wrote Stavavali. He wrote the Dan Leela. He wrote Mukta Charitra. Srila Rūpa Goswāmī has given us Upadeshamrit, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Ujjvala Neelamani, Hamsaduta, Vidagdha Madhav, Lalita Madhav, so many books, Padyavali. Srila Sanatana Goswami gave us Krishna Leela Stava. He gave us Hari Bhakti Vilas. He gave us Brihad Bhagavatamrit. Everything has been given to us by these Goswamis. And the recipient of the full mercy of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī, and Srila Sanatana Goswami is Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada currently lives in Radha Damodar temple in Sridham Vrindavan. My dear Dukhi Krishna Das, to gain education in the confidential rasa of Vraj Bhakti, I would like you to go to Vrindavan and become a student, a Shiksha disciple of Srila Jiva Goswami. I will write a letter. You go and give this letter to him. And with great enthusiasm, Hriday Chaitanya Goswami wrote a letter to Srila Jiva Goswami, requesting him to accept his most beloved disciple, Dukhi Krishna Das, as a student and to train him in Vrajras. Taking the orders of his Gurudev upon his head, Dukhi Krishna Das went to Vrindavan. And he studied under the disciple of Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī. That is Śrī Jiva Goswami. Śrīla Rūpa Goswami received the teachings from Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu in Varanasi. And these teachings constitute Śrī Rūpa Shiksha. They are in the Madhya Leela of Śrī Caitanya Charitamrit. These teachings were expanded upon by Śrīla Rūpa Goswami in his books. And they were further expanded by Śrīla Jiva Goswami through his writings. This, my dear friends, is our parampara. To wholeheartedly accept the teachings of the previous acharyas and to live our life and to have our prachar, achar and prachar based on the teachings of the previous acharyas. Much can be spoken about the interactions between Śrīla Rūpa Goswami and Śrī Jiva Goswami, the Shiksha Guru of Dukhi Krishna Das, who would later on become Shyamananda Pandit. But we have run out of time. It's almost 1 hour. And I do want to read one bhajan in honor of Śrīla Rūpa Goswami today, because it is his Tirobhav Tithi. This bhajan is written by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And this bhajan speaks about the Mahatmya, the glory of being a Rupanuga. Srila Prabhupada wanted all of us to be Rupanugas because Srila Prabhupada himself is a foremost Rupanuga. All our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahashay. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. Rupanuga Varayate. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the best amongst the followers of Srila Rūpa Goswami, of his generation. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the best of his generation, Rupanuga. Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dhvanta Harine. Yes. And amongst the followers of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the preeminent Acharya, the preeminent preacher, Jagat Guru, is our beloved founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad, Paramhams Parivrajak Acharya, Shtottar Shri Srimad, Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, who is Gauravani Pracharine, Gaura Śrī Rūpa Siddhanta. He is the message bearer of Gaura, Śrī Rūpa and Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Gaura Śrī Rūpa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevine Radha Krishna Padam Bhojo Bhringaya Gurave Namaha. This is the pranam mantra for Śrīla Prabhupada, our Prabhupada. He is Gaura Śrī Rūpa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevine. He is the servant of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī and Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Gaura Śrī Rūpa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevine Radha Krishna Padam Bhojo Bhringaya Gurave. Śrīla Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, is a bumblebee, honeybee, Brahmar, where Radha Krishna Padam Bhojo, at the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Radha Krishna Padam Bhojo. Ambuja, lotus. Bhringaya, he's a Bhringa, Brahmar, intoxicated by the honey from the lotus feet of Radha Govinda. And he is a humble servant of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī and Śrī Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur has written about Śrī Rūpanugatya Mahatmya. What is the glory of being Rūpanuga? You can Google it if you want. The first words are, someone can screen share, Shuniyachi Sadhu Mukhe. Type Suniyachi. Shuniyachi Sadhu, Sadhu Mukhe. Mukhe. Shuniyache Sadhu Mukhe by Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur. Shuniyachi Sadhu Mukhe Bole Sarvajan Śrī Rūpa Kripaya Mile Yugalachara. So beautiful. So beautiful. Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur is glorifying Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī by saying, Shuniyachi Sadhu Mukhe Bole Sarvajan Śrī Rūpa Kripaya Mile Yugalachara. I have heard from the lips of the sadhus, all of them, they say that by Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī's mercy, one can attain the lotus feet of the divine couple, Radha and Krishna. Aha. Shuniyachi Sadhu Mukhe Bole Sarvajan Śrī Rūpa Kripaya Mile Yugalachara. Ha ha Prabhu Sanatana Gaura Parivar Sabe Mili Vancha Purna Karo Ho Ama. O Sanatan Goswami Prabhupada, O personal associates of Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Parivar. This is Gauranga Parivar. Rup Sanatan Raghunath. Ha ha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunath Bhatta Yuga Shri Jiva Ha Prabhu Lokana. This is Gaura Parivar. Ha ha Prabhu Sanatana Gaura Parivar Sabe Mili Vancha Purna Karo Ho Ama. Together all of you, Sabe Mili, please fulfill my desires. Vancha Purna Karo Ho Ama. Please fulfill my desire. What is my desire? Yugala Charan. I want to serve Yugala Charan. Verse 3. There are 5 verses. Śrī Rūpera Kripa Jeno Ama Pratiha Sepada Ashraya Jara Se Mahasha. May the mercy of Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī fall upon me. Śrī Rūpera Kripa Jeho Ama Pratiha. May I receive the mercy of Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī. This is called Karpanyata. This is called Dainya Bhav. It is one of the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. Unless we have this Dainyata, Karpanyata, the feeling of being fallen and useless, one cannot feelingly beg for Kripa, mercy. It is a prerequisite. Therefore, first limb of Sharanagati is Karpanyata, Dainyata. Dainya Atma Nivedana Goptritve Varana Avasya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasa Pala. Śrī Rūpera Kripa Jeno Ama Pratihai. May I receive the mercy, Kripa of Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī. Sepada Ashraya Jara Se Mahasha. Whoever takes shelter of Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī's lotus feet, Sepada Ashraya Jara Se Mahasha. That person becomes a great personality. Hari Bol. One who is Rūpa Goswāmī Ashrit becomes great. Prabhu Lokanatha Kabe Sange Loya Jabe. Śrī Rūpera Pada Padme Mora Samarpibe. When will my master Śrī Lokanath Goswāmī take me and offer me at the lotus feet of Śrī Rūpa Goswāmī? Wow! What a bhav! Because Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur is an initiated disciple of Śrīla Lokanath Goswāmī. Śrīla Lokanath Goswāmī. If I remember correctly, Śrīla Lokanath Goswāmī is Manjulali Manjari. So he is also Manjari. But all Manjaris are under Śrī Rūpa Manjari. Therefore, we are all Rūpanugas. Because the Unnat Ujjvala Rasa that Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to give is Manjari Upasana. It is Manjari Bhav. Not Vaikuntha Bhav. It is Vraj Bhakti. In Vraj Bhakti, there are many bhavs. There is Shanta, Shanta is not so important. But there is Dasya, there is Sakhya, there is Vatsalya. Out of the 4 main mellows, there are 12 rasas, but 4 are main. Out of them, Madhura Ras, Shringar Ras is most important, is the highest. It includes all other rasas. And that is what Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. But in Madhura Ras also, there is Swakiya Parakiya. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu specifically came to give Madhura Vraja Bhakti in Parakiya Bhav. Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Prachar. Jaya Jaya Ojvala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sar. Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Prachar. We sing this bhajan by Shri Krishna Das Babaji. This Parakiya Bhav is the Bhav that Mahaprabhu came to give. And Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, what he wanted to give, he gave through his beloved Rup Sanatan Raghunath. And all 3 of them are Manjaris. Therefore, what is really in the heart of what Mahaprabhu really wants to give? Mahaprabhu wants to give many things. Mahaprabhu is Mahaprabhu. He is Namo Mahavadanyaya. Very merciful, all accommodating. Shri Varahadev Bhaktas are also attracted to Mahaprabhu. Shri Narsimhadev Bhaktas are also attracted to Mahaprabhu. Vasudev was the devotee of Sri Varahadev from Satyayug, attracted to Mahaprabhu, even though he was a disciple of Varahadev, a devotee of Varahadev, Vasudev. Then Narsimananda Brahmachari, devotee of Lord Narsimadev, attracted to Mahaprabhu. Shri Murari Gupta is Hanumanji, disciple of Shri Raghunath. Even Anupam, the younger brother of Rup Sanatan Goswamis, he is also from the eternal Ayodhya Dham. He is a devotee of Shri Ram, attracted to Mahaprabhu. See, South India Brahman also, who would not eat food because Srimati Sita Devi was touched by Ravan. Ram Bhakta, attracted to Mahaprabhu. They understood that Mahaprabhu is Ram, not different from Ram. And then devotees from Dwarka Leela are also attracted to Mahaprabhu. Mathura Leela also attracted to Mahaprabhu. Jagadananda Pandit is Satyabhama, attracted to Mahaprabhu. Kashi Mishra is Kubja from Mathura Leela, attracted to Mahaprabhu. Paramananda Puri is Uddhav, attracted to Mahaprabhu. Everyone is attracted to Mahaprabhu. Sarva Akarshitahi iti Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attracts everyone. But what is really that Mahaprabhu came? What is it that really Mahaprabhu came to give? What is that? Not Ujjwal Ras. Jayo Jayo Jwala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sar Parakya Bhave Jahan Prajete Pachar. That is Ujjwal Ras. Yes, Shringar Ras. Parakya Bhav. No problem. But Mahaprabhu, it is described in Śrī Caitanya Charitam, he came to give. What is that Anarpita Charim Chirat? What is that? Something that had not been offered in a very long time. It is Unnat Ujjwala Rasa. Not Ujjwal Rasa. Unnat Ujjwala Rasa. That Unnat Ujjwala Rasa. Unnat Ujjwala is Manjari Bhav. It is Manjari Upasana. Through Rupa Manjari. Through Rūpa Goswāmī Prabhupada. Through Sanatan Goswami. Through Śrīla Raghunath Das Goswami. All the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Through Jiva Goswami. That is what Mahaprabhu came to give. That is what Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who is also a Manjari, that is the Vancha. That is the desire. That is what he is praying. That when will Lokanath Goswami, who is Manjulali Manjari, take me, hold my hand, take me and offer me to Shri Rūpa Goswāmī, to Shri Rūpa Manjari. Prabhu Lokanath kabe sange loya jabe, Shri Rūpera pada padme mure samarpibe. Srila Prabhupada is Rupanuga, Rasikacharya. Who is Srila Prabhupada? Our founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada is Rupanuga, Rasikacharya. Srila Prabhupada once revealed to his disciples that Srila Rūpa Goswāmī appeared to him and told him, you just go and write books and preach in the Western world. Don't wait any longer. Enough. You have stayed for 4 years in Radha Damodar temple next to my Samadhi Mandir, next to my Bhajan Kutir. Yes, you have done your bhajan. You have cried enough tears. You have swept enough in front of my Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi Mandir. I have seen your tears. I have heard your prayers. Yes. Now go. Don't wait any longer and don't have any fear. Just go. Just go all over the world and preach Gauravani. Gauravani Pracharine. Don't worry. Success is guaranteed, Swami Maharaj. Success is guaranteed for you. For I will be there with you at all times. Srila Prabhupada himself said this. Srila Rūpa Goswāmī Prabhupada appeared to our Prabhupada and gave this assurance, gave this empowerment, because all Manjaris are under Shri Rūpa Manjari. Rūpa Manjari is not going to go to a Sakha and say, please go and do what no other Manjari could do. No. Srila Prabhupada did it in the line of the Manjaris. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Nayana Mani Manjari. So this is our deepest Siddhanta. And slowly, sadhak means slowly, taking shelter of the previous acharyas, taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada's books, discovering these deeper truths which are hidden between the lines. We have to go deeper and deeper into Krishna consciousness. We have to become more and more focused. We start off Krishna consciousness very broad. Everything is there. All the Dashavatars are there. And yes, Geet Govind also begins like that. All Dashavatars, sabko pranam. But then understanding that actually Keshava Dhrita, Dashavidha Rupa. It is our Keshav, the killer of Keshi demon in Vrindavan. It is our Keshav, the one with beautiful Kesh, which are a source of pleasure to Srimati Radharani. That Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Sham Sundar Keshav, he is taking all these forms. Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amenatishta, Nana Avatar. He is taking. But Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavatu Vargenaya Kalpita. When will we understand this? That the focus of our bhajan is not Dashavatar. Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, a devotee is not attracted to any form of Krishna, not to the four-armed Narayan form, not to any of the Vishnu Murtis, only Sham Sundar. Srila Prabhupada writes, not even the form standing in front of Arjuna, the two-handed form of Parthasarthi, no. Tadham Vrindavana, not Kurukshetra, not Dwarka, not Mathura, not Hastinapur, Indraprastha, no. Vrindavan. Tadhama Vrindavana. And there also, there are many 12 rasas. Ramya Kajid Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargenaya Kalpita. Srimad Bhagavatam is telling this. The heart throb of Srimad Bhagavatam is the Ras Panchadhyay, which exclusively deals with Madhurya Ras in Parakya Bhav. Hare Krishna. So does the Antilil of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So all these truths have to be understood, have to be pursued by a sincere sadhak under the anugatya of our spiritual superiors. And then we have to become more and more focused, more and more concentrated. Instead of being multi-branched, we have to become more and more focused. That bus, now this is my upasana. This is what I want to achieve. This is where I want to go. Otherwise, after spending 10-15 years in Krishna consciousness, getting first initiation, second initiation, devotees are lost. They don't know what is prayojan. They don't know what is prayojan. Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojan is taught by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu in Rūpa Shiksha. Today is Rūpa Goswāmī Tiruvātiti. We should go and read the Madhya Lila, Rūpa Shiksha. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu clearly explains what is Sambandha, what is Abhidaya, what is Prayojan. These things have to be understood by every sadhak. Otherwise, there is no bhajan. What are we doing bhajan for if we don't know what is Prayojan? So therefore, Srila Narottama Das Thakur is writing here, and Srila Prabhupada wanted us to study the writings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Prabhu Lokanath Kabe Sange Loya Jabe Śrī Rūpera Pada Padme More Samarpibe. The perfection of life is to offer ourselves at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas, they are dedicated, devoted, loving followers of Śrī Rūpa Manjari. Heno ki koi be mora narma sakhi gane anugata narottame kori be shasane. Wow. Heno ki hoibe mora narma sakhi gane. Will such a destiny ever be mine that through their instructions the Narma Sakhis make Narottam their faithful follower? Anugata Narottame Koribe Shasane. Clearly, this is Manjari Upasana. This is the Upasana of the Manjari Gopis. This is Gopi Bhav. And Srila Prabhupada has given us this. This is not something new, some Gopi club. No, this is not like that. Srila Prabhupada has given a sincere sadhak. All of you on Bhakti Sanga are for so many years hearing Chaitanya Charitamrita. You have completed Chaitanya Charitamrita. You are on the 6th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in the morning. So you are doing japa every day, Brahma Murta japa, all of you. Chanting more than 16 rounds every day in the morning. In the association of devotees. Reading Prabhupada's quotes. Reading Prabhupada Leelamrita on Fridays. Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya has been completed. Chaitanya Bhagavat. Now we should not be multi-branched. We don't know what is Prayojan. Pata nahi. No. We should study. Rūpa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti. Tabe Ama Bhujabo Yugala Piriti. We have to pay close attention to Srila Prabhupada's books, to the writings of our acharyas. Everything is there in Srila Prabhupada's books. Everything is there in Srila Prabhupada's own example and in the example of our acharyas. We simply have to go deep, increase our Nam Bhajan, increase our Swadhyay, increase the quality of Shravanam, what we are hearing. Entertaining jokes, that is not. If we want to make spiritual progress, we should hear from the pure devotees, the acharyas. I always emphasize this point, very important. So here, Sri Narottam Das Thakur is saying that when will that day be mine, when I will be placed under the Manjari Gopis. Srila Prabhupada gave us Tulsi Arti. If we simply understand Tulsi Arti, which Srila Prabhupada ordered all of us to sing every day, twice a day, morning and afternoon, morning and evening. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to sing Tulsi Arti and worship Tulsi Devi. Srila Prabhupada himself gave translation of the Tulsi Arti, and it is included in our original Vaishnava songbook. If someone sincerely reads Tulsi Arti, the Tulsi prayers written by Srila Krishnadas Babaji, we will understand what is Prayojan. If we read Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Abhidaya Prayojan, Sambandha, Abhidaya Prayojan, all are described. If we read Upadeshamrit, Sambandha, Abhidaya Prayojan, everything is there in 11 verses. Srila Prabhupada has given. And Chaitanya Charitamrit, Hare Krishna. It's amazing. Sambandha, Abhidaya Prayojan, everything is there. Everything is there. Just read Raya Ramananda Sambad. Everything is there. Ante Lila, everything is there. Rup Shiksha, Sanatan Shiksha. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu has given Sambandha, Abhidaya, Prayojan. So we have to understand this deeply and work towards it in the association of sincerity. Then it is possible. Otherwise, years and years and go by and we only think Krishna consciousness means getting some certificate courses done, getting some initiation, and getting into management. That is not Krishna consciousness. That is not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means to cry for Krishna. When will that day come? When I will worship Krishna with Sambandha. When I will cry for Krishna. When I will realize what is my constitutional position. It is all revealed by Srila Prabhupada, by our acharyas. By their kripa it is revealed. But that is the goal. And the more we become serious about it and the more we become greedy, laulyam, the more we become greedy for spiritual advancement, then we will get it. If we think chalta hai, everything is fine, bas, now everybody is respecting me, I have become a Bhakti Vriksha leader, now I have to just increase the Bhakti Vriksha. I had one Bhakti Vriksha, and I have 3 Bhakti Vrikshas, and we measure our success just by that. But what are you doing in that Bhakti Vriksha? Are the devotees making spiritual progress? Are you making spiritual advancement? That is the question. That is the question. Quality is very important. So let us become serious and let us, on this auspicious day of Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī's Tirabhav Tithi, let us understand the value of what Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī has given us. Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur is begging that please, please, Śrīla Loknath Goswāmī Gurudev, please place me at the lotus feet of Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī. So we must have this, at least today, let us develop a desire to understand who is Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī, what is Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī's unique contribution, and what unshakable, undeniable relationship we all have with Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī, who is Rupa Manjari. This we must understand. Gaur Premanand, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Śrī Caitanya Bhāgavata ki jai. Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswāmī ki jai. Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahashay ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your very enlightening lecture today, and we are very fortunate and grateful to you. We look forward to your association always in the future. And if anybody has any, Prabhuji, will you like, you have a time for a question?
Yes, Mataji, I have.
If anybody has question, please ask. Go ahead and ask. Hare Krishna. Ayush Masmuda. Go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for your lecture. I have a doubt. Arjun Sakha Prabhu said that in Golok, Vrindavan, 27 days is a huge amount. But if by Krishna's transcendental effulgence in the spiritual world, there is eternal supply of daylight, then how can night appear in Golok? And if there is no night, then how can there be multiple days in Golok?
The nature of spiritual world is that it exists for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna. If Radha and Krishna want to enjoy their Ashtakaliya Leela, there are 8 prahars. Each prahar is 3-hour duration. There are different phases of the day. There are night pastimes, there are day pastimes. Everything is there in the spiritual world. Why there should be no night? If Radha and Krishna can enjoy their night pastimes, why there should be no night? But the night and the day and the time in the spiritual world is not like the day, night, and time in the material world. Here, we want to play cricket and suddenly the sun sets. Arey, now I cannot play. It has become dark. We want to have a nice night out with friends and party and enjoy. And arey, the night was too short. Khatam ho gayi. Subah ho gayi. It's daytime now. Now I have to go home, get back to office and whatnot. You see? So in the material world, the day, night, and the time is not under our control. We are under the control. Because it is a place of misery. But the spiritual world is Satchidananda. It is made up of Vishuddha Sattva. There is no influence of the 3 modes of material nature. In the material world, at night there is mode of ignorance. But that is not true about the night in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, time exists only for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna. Time is subservient to Radha and Krishna. Time is simply there to facilitate the eternal Leela. Day and night exist only to give pleasure and variety to the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. All these things can be understood by doing bhajan, by the mercy of our Guru Varga, and ultimately when we attain Krishna. All these things will be revealed. Is that okay, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So looks like there is no one else has any question.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna to all the devotees on the call. And I know pronounced. Prabhuji, I have like two questions. Normally, where it is mentioned, Prabhuji, that this character from Sri Krishna Leela is this personality, like you have been telling, right? So where that is mentioned, and one more thing is of course, like few in most of the places, I heard from few gurujans that when Krishna was doing Leelas in Vrindavan, Yog Maya or Maya used to cover up the Vrindavan Vasi's mind that he himself is God. So when he was like lifting the Govardhan, right, Prabhuji, that's a big Leela. So didn't they realize that Krishna is the God? Like how a boy can lift the Govardhan on his little finger?
So first question, the Krishna Leela Swarup of the Gaur Parshads is mentioned in a book written by the youngest son of Shivananda Sen, Shri Krishna, Shri Kavi Karnapur. Shri Kavi Karnapur has written a book, small book called Gaura Ganodesh Dipika. It is available free of cost on ISKCON Desiratory under ebooks. The PDF is there, you can look it up. Gaura Ganodesh Dipika. In that book, it is
Okay, Prabhu.
second question is that what was the second question, Mataji?
About like Lord Krishna being a little boy lifting the Govardhana. Yeah.
So in Golok Vrindavan, in Vraj Leela, the devotees have, the Vrajvasis have so much prem, so much love for Krishna that their prem overshadows the conception that Krishna is God. The Vrajvasis, they know that Krishna is God, but their love is so much that they have surpassed that stage of understanding the godhood of Krishna. They are beyond that stage. We have to come to that stage to understand that Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Krishna is everything, Krishna is God, Matah Parataram na Anyat. We are doing sadhana to come to that stage where we actually conclusively understand, really, with every breath, with every heartbeat, we understand that yes, Krishna is God, Krishna is there, and we surrender to Krishna. But the Brajvasis have far surpassed that stage of understanding the Aishwarya, the opulence of Krishna, that Krishna is Bhagwan, Krishna is all powerful. They have gone beyond that stage of spiritual evolution, and they are at a stage where they simply have pure, simple, innocent love for Krishna. It doesn't matter to them whether Krishna is God or not. Even if Krishna were not Bhagwan, their love would be completely unaffected. They love Krishna because they love Krishna. Their love is causeless, unmotivated. Ahaituki bhakti, ahaituki prem. They just love Krishna. But everything else is finished. All that, they are lower stages where you understand God. The requirement to enter Vrajdham is to forget that Krishna is God. If we think Krishna is God, then we are in Mathura or Dwarka. Bhagwanatva, the godliness, the godhood, that we have to forget. Then we can enter Mero Vrindavan. That is the entrance. Mero Vrindavan, to understand, to enter Vrindavan. Where we just love Radha and Krishna. Bas. We love them because we love them. There is nothing else. So Krishna can lift Govardhan, and the Vrajvasis will think, wow, wow, wow. He's so wonderful. He loves us so much. He wants to protect us from the prakop of Indra. Let us help him. He cannot do it alone. Let us help him. So they are putting sticks. Yashoda Maya is feeding Krishna, so he will get strength. Nanda Baba is worried. When will this rainstorm stop? So they know, but they don't know that Krishna is God. They have gone far beyond that stage. Does that make sense, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. It's like hearing only, it's so wonderful. like how much bhakti and how much prem like Vrindavan Vasis have for Lord Krishna. And sometimes when I hear this pastimes of Krishna playing with his friends, and they are, feeding from their mouth to Krishna, and Krishna is also eating. So I feel like when we will get that prem, will we ever go to that stage to play with Krishna as his friend, or will he accept us? Or sometimes those things will come, Prabhu, in the mind. Like, so will that means I don't know whether I'm doing a proper bhakti or not, but will that stage ever come for any of the living beings, like to become a part of his pastimes or something like that?
100% it will come. We just have to become Prabhupada-nuga. You have to have faith that Srila Prabhupada is a bona fide acharya in the line of Srila Rūpa Goswāmī. And we simply have to follow the process that Srila Prabhupada and that our acharyas have given us faithfully. Faithfully. We cannot get to Vrindavan. We cannot enter into Vrindavan ourselves. But by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, by the blessings of Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga, definitely we can. On our strength? No. On their strength? Yes. Of course. Of course. Because Srila Prabhupada is there. He is Nitya Leela Pravishta. So yes, by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, absolutely. It's a very powerful sampradaya that we have become connected with. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Is it Kamal Gopi Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can I ask the question, Mataji?
Yes. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for your wonderful nectarian lecture. Prabhuji, you had mentioned so many Leelas, like Murari Gupta was Lord Hanuman, like that, so many Leelas. Do we get it in that Gadādhara Dipika, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
All of them? You have
All
mentioned all of them? Okay. And one more thing, Prabhuji, I joined a little late. I want to know what's your name and where can I get your more lectures if I need? Where can I find them?
Adi Gadādhara Das.
Adi Gadādhara.
Yes, Mataji. And yes, and there is a YouTube channel and a WhatsApp group also, if you're interested.
Yes,
So,
Prabhu, I would like to.
Kamal Gopika Mataji, you can reach out to me and I'll add you in that group.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dasosmi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a very, very wonderful session. I just have one question in the starting of the class about when you were explaining about Gaurīdās Paṇḍit, that how Mahaprabhu went and then Mahaprabhu was leaving. So you said something that he made some ore. What is that ore?
So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Śrī Nityananda Prabhu crossed the Ganga to come from Mayapur to Ambika Kalna, they rowed the boat with an oar. Oar. O-A-R. Oar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So
Halesa
Huh?
in Gujarati. In
Halesa.
Gujarati, there's a haleso.
Halesa.
Halesa, yeah.
Halesa.
in Gujarati,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn Gujarati. Pradyumna Prabhu is trying to teach.
In Hindi, we say, right, chappu chalana.
So Mataji has put chappu in Hindi. तो वो छप्पू जो था उनका, उन्होंने गौरीदास पंडित किया.
Thank you.
As Hare Krishna.
Sorry, maybe I missed in the starting of session. That's why I was curious. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we can stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Arya Shri ki jai.
Jai.
Chaitanya Chaitanya Bhāgavata ki jai. Śrīla
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Great Adi Gadādhara Das Prabhu ji ki
Jai.
Prabhuji, koti koti
Thank you,
dandavat
Prabhuji.
pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone,
Thank you
for
very much,
joining
Prabhu.
today's class. Hare Krishna.